Okay, today is the 9th of March 2022. We're looking at EU, Euro US dollar. On my left, I've got my buy side drawings. On my right hand side, I've got my sell side drawings. And we have been trading the afternoon or early afternoon New York session. This is what we've woken up to see. We've had this big impulse down, mitigated something over here. If we pull out, we can see that the mitigation was actually this range here, right? So it's our last known range inside of a higher time frame buy primary. So absolutely expect a reaction. We've had one reaction without any significant breaking structure, and how now we're having another reaction. Now, the way the reaction is initiating away currently is very soft. Excuse me here. Soft, meaning it's this. So we've mitigated and then we're just. And what typically that means is that we're building cores, stacking a lot of money in this area. We just don't know when they're going to run it. I've seen these stack like this, and then literally you'll just get a piece of news or something and they'll go straight through it. I've also seen ones like this where they stack it like this, and then they'll shoot price up here, maybe take liquidity from the high side, and then this will be a future event, and still we wouldn't even have any idea when that would be. So yeah, there's some options here as to far as what they're doing, but it's very clear to see they are making cores, and I do believe in lower prices overall. Okay, because of just the way in which everything's been played out, where we're mitigating, what's going on. It's just a continuation of short prices here. Now, something interesting on this buy side is this, and I've written what it is. It's a transitional order block buy primary. Okay, so let's zoom in so we can see it. Range, initiation, break of structure, right there. It doesn't matter if it was a tick or a mile. It doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile, a tick or a freaking whatever. The way I understand things, okay? So we break structure, and then we come back over the top of this range, taking all of its liquidity, and then break up on ourselves. And then we proceed to break other major structure right here. As we break swing structure or major structure, this has been activated, which means it's valid to play off of. So we should have expected to see what? After the break in structure, which was up here somewhere, we expect, now it's activated, now we expect to see a reaction. And what happens is slam all the way through it, sliced like butter. We didn't even stop once from this bar open to this bar close. There was not one stopping piece of wick in here. I'm sure it mitigated, did some mitigations, but on a 1 hour time frame, we cannot see anything, right? And so it's for that reason that this is what I'm considering to be a transitional buy primary, which is going to be a reactive. They could use this buy primary could be used now to support higher prices. It could be used to support lower prices. But one thing's for sure is that we will be transacting in and around this box sooner than later, is my understanding of price action, right? Sooner than later. So to have this area of interest open, fully open, and not really doing much tells me, or, not hasn't done anything, as they mitigate through it, tells me that we're going to be coming back to it sooner than later. And so it's for that reason I'm kind of biased longs at this point. Yes, I've got this sort of mess. Yes, it's stacking cores. Yes, we should be initiating down. But where are we going to initiate away from, right? I want to initiate away from sell primary. So let's jump over to our sell screen, sell side, and see where we'd want to initiate from, right? So it took a little bit of thinking actually to draw this one out, because it looked at first a bit like mess. You see, if you were to draw this from here to here, this is not a buy primary because it doesn't tick any of the boxes. We haven't got a range, an initiation, a break-in structure. We have, yes, it comes up over the top of them and then breaks on it, but this didn't break structure. And so for that reason, we can't draw it from there. We have to draw it from there, right? Now everything makes sense, right? We've got all, I mean, you've got all of this liquidity from this side, range, breaks of structure, all the rest of it, right? So it's this range here that comes up over the top, takes all the liquidity, and then breaks down on itself and breaks major structure. Ergo, therefore, an active sell primary, and the last known range that I can see is right here. So this is really my point of interest, my higher time frame point of interest right now. My 1 hour point of interest is up here. And so I know I've got a buy primary, a transitional buy primary somewhere in around this area. I've got this of interest. We've mitigated. What did we mitigate? Did I annotate it? I didn't annotate, but we did see it right at the beginning of the video. What have we mitigated? We've mitigated a buy primary, so we could be looking for buys. We could be going long here, and this could be just literally just going long to take out all this structure at the top here. This will get taken. There's no question about it. It's too good to be true. There's too much money in here for it not to get taken. And it could just whipsaw on some news even. But suffice to say, it will get taken. It's just when. So we've mitigated. Back to my story that I was telling. We've mitigated a buy primary. Haven't had much of a reaction yet. We're just creating cause. We're waiting for price to come up to here. We've got that transitional order block in and around here, and so we're just waiting and seeing. So what do we do on the lower time frame? What's our bias? Well, our bias is likely to be shorts because we've just created, the last thing we've done is create the sell primary and it's activated. So that's the last thing. And so that's what current intention is it not? But higher time frame will overrule everything. And so as we zoom out like this, you can see that we've come from something massively sell off, but we've been initiating higher prices, right? And so, let's even go to the daily real quick so we can sort of see things in context here, put things into good context here. We could have had that mitigation that could be pushing us for lower prices too. We can see that we've been bearish ever since this point up here. All right? Watch structure. Just look at overall structure. They say structure is king, right? I'm sure you've heard all of this, right? Structure is king. Well, structure is king here. That's for sure. We're definitely on a downward slope. Where's the best place to trade from? Well, any of these higher areas are the best places to trade from. But look at this one. As it comes back in here, where does it mitigate? It doesn't mitigate this high range up here, just mitigates in here and then pushes down, breaking structure, right? I mean, this is just a huge cause stacking, isn't it? If you saw this on a 1 minute chart, if I was zoomed out on a 1 minute chart, you'd be thinking, we're just going to run this. This is begging to be run, isn't it? Like, look how nice it looks to be run for a huge initiation. Just grab all of that liquidity. Can you imagine? I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And this is a daily chart, right? And over here, there's other stuff too. Price action isn't showing up on this this data provider. Oanda. I'm on Oanda, by the way, if anyone's interested. Oanda. Anyway. Let's get back. Let's get into it. Let's get into my trades today and talk about it all. Okay. I'm currently short, and I took 2 shorts, and I wasn't interested in any buys. So I was interested in buys. That's bullshit. I was absolutely interested in buys, but I took 2 shorts, and this one I got taken out for a break even, which is frustrating, and I'll talk about that. And then this one we're currently running, but you could say probably because I was scared from the. I hate that word, being scared, but I don't know what. The only other thing I can say about this one is I was cautious with it because I knew there was a buy primary down here and I didn't know how it's going to react. I could sort of see what was happening as far as how price action was sort of building, and so I don't know if this is the right moment to talk about it really, or should talk about it in a little bit. It's really my hesitation here, but suffice to say, we've got this buy primary put in. Here's a connecting range. Look at all this: buy primary failed, buy primary failed, buy primary failed, buy primary failed. There's lots of reasons why I'm favoring shorts, but they did create a new buy primary here, which is fully activated as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so broken structure up to the top as well, I believe. Oh, did it? What was it? Yeah, it did. It did. It took it. So, so that's the reason I took partials on this trade, and I took them. I took 75% off at this level, and break even, and then just the rest roll. You know, whatever it equates to in that area there, 25%. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about what I'm seeing. Let's go from the buy side first, then we'll hit the sells. So the first thing I do when I get to the charts is this was all the other day, so ignore all of this. Or don't ignore it, but you know what I mean. We're not going to focus on it. So we have this initiation away from here. It's a deep mitigation. And we start initiating up. And so the first thing I do is look at my chart, and I draw all of this shit on. All of this shit gets drawn on right the first thing in the morning, because I need to see where we've come from. What have we done overnight? You know, what have we done since yesterday? And so I'm just constantly looking. Okay, buy primary, buy primary, buy primary. Right? I'm looking at all these range initiation. There's a breaking structure over here somewhere. Comes over the top, takes all the liquidity, initiates away. Right? That's all we're doing. Buy primaries and sell primaries. That's really what I care about. And so I'm watching them, and I'm seeing how they all connect together. And I'm thinking to myself, this is lovely. They're all connecting beautifully. Um, Makes sense, right? Makes sense. And so as we start coming into, sort of closer hours, we can see we've got this primary, 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 and another primary. And I'm expecting this to hold and push prices up. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I have that expectation? We've been doing it on this higher time frame outlook this whole freaking time. It's just been working our way up like this. So I'm just going to expect higher prices. Why? We've got this buy primary up. Yeah, it's a buy primary up here that is turned into transitional. I expect a mitigation. We haven't even touched any part of it. And so it's literally, it formed and it got slammed through, no mitigation whatsoever. I am expecting this to get a mitigation, and tries to hold out in here for a while. I do think we'll see um, price action hold over here. Don't know how they're going to do it, but that's my bias because I've seen it so many times, right? So that's really what I'm basing everything on. It's just what I've seen, and repetition. Okay, so we've got this buy primer in here. We're expecting this to come and have a reaction. This is a good place for reaction. Now, as we're building, so we've got this last known range. This activates at this point here. As soon as we break structure, this is now valid, and this is valid. So once we're up here, this would have been a fantastic trade to have taken if we were on the screen. We understand the whole process here and why we would have wanted to get involved in this one, the last known range, buy primary. They're initiating higher prices. We've been following the intention of what's been going on. And so once they get to this place, have a big initiation. It doesn't matter if they break structure or not. And so that's why I was you heard my tonality, my voice a little bit earlier, where I was like talking about structure is king on the higher time frame, and it's I've kind of had to let go of thoughts and feelings about structure so much because this happens so much at the time where you'll see this spray up here and it come right back down. And so what's your thought? Well, structure's key, right? Well, if structure's king and key and all this shit, so haven't we just broken structures to the downside? Isn't that a major swing? Yeah, it is. And so when we break up here, if you're just looking at structure, wouldn't you be going, no, I'm just short. So you might sell here with the anticipation of it breaking structure down here. And so it's for that reason, I've seen that structure is king, higher time frame structure, sure enough, but on a lower time frame, it doesn't really play that much of a part for me. I see structure, I use structure to activate primaries, and that's really how I use structure for the most part. I do use it for, MSing and stuff like that, but um, for the most part, I just use structure on my primaries, and so high time frame outlook, yeah, it's good, but on the lower time frame, not so much. Like not really something I care about. And also, while we're just touching upon this, since we're going down the rabbit hole, people who teaching you and telling you stuff, I've come to realize that, by just unfollowing everybody, getting off of social media, doing your own analysis and doing your own understanding is so much more valuable than just regurgitating and listening to other people's stuff. They have an understanding and they try to impart it, and yet we for the most part don't understand it and don't get it, not in the way that they understand it. And so them talking about structure and trying to explain it, um, it just doesn't it works on the higher time frames, but on these lower time frame outlooks, it just, for me, there's so much structure. I mean, there is literally structure everywhere. And so, you've got to really take it with a grain of salt, I think. And for that reason, I'm cool. I'm cool with my understanding, and I don't need to trade like other people trade. I like to trade how I like to trade, and that's been the absolute best thing for me, has been to um, just ignore everybody else and in their opinions, and just stay focused on what I'm doing, and build an understanding based on how I want to understand it. I'm the trader at the end of the day. I'm the one clicking the button, not them, right? They're not willing to open up a service or something like that where I can give them my money and they trade for me, since they're so fucking good, right? With structure and all the rest of it. Oh, but they're not willing to show me their profit proof. They're not willing to come out with proof that they're trading, high dollar sum accounts. And it's for those reasons, because they're not. Most people out there are just educators. They're fantastic at educating, but they're not fantastic at trading. Anyone can, in hindsight, read these charts with SMC mindset and explain all of this in hindsight, but it's only a very, 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 very small number of people who can actually fucking trade it successfully. And I'm in that group. I'm getting in that group. Put it that way. I'm not so big headed to say that I'm excelling in anything. I'm literally just telling you, I do this over and over again, and on a daily basis, and I learn all this shit from myself. I paid hundreds of dollars per month to be parts of groups and stuff like that. And sure enough, their knowledge is good, very good knowledge, but nothing was able to get me to consistent profitability. And so the best success I'm having is getting rid of everyone and getting rid of all their information completely, and rediscovering it all for myself and relearning it from a deep way. And so when they say breaks of structure, um, understand it for yourself. Forget what they've told you. You do your own research. Take a month, take a week, take however long you need, but research structure over and over again. Sit there in bed with your laptop or your iPad or whatever it is, and just look at structural breaks. See what the patterns. See what you see, because you're the interpreter, not them. Anyway, rant over. Let's get on with it. Jesus, mother of God. Sorry about that, you guys. I don't know where that came from. I'm just a little fired up, I guess. Anyway, so we're working our way up, and then we've got all this biprimaries have been formed. They come in over the top. What I noticed today was it was primary land, biprimary land, and cell primary land, and a lot of them failed. And I'll show you them and we'll talk about them. But suffice to say, here's one of them: range, initiation, break a structure. This is the range that came in over the top, initiates away and breaks structure on itself, right? And I didn't really know how to draw this one in, so I just left it with my primary colors, because then this comes in over the top of that primary and initiates away breaking structure. So this is now a valid primary, and we're happy with this range. Okay, so biprimary failed. It's kind of more like a primary that didn't activate, that failed, but nevertheless, it's a biprimary. And so this was like kind of a funky bit of activity. And so when I see funky activity or these double liquidity takes, right? Let's say here's the range that initiate and broke structure. Here's the stacking of cores. And then when they came in, they swept the cores first time once, they pulled up and swept something else again. Maybe there wasn't any other range. It was just from mitigation, right? For instance, my drawing here is just a for instance drawing. And then they initiate away, and then this becomes the primary. Well, this primary is funky because it took the liquidity first time. There's the liquidity grab. But this second thing, what the fuck is it? It's just mitigation. And so it's just like a funky range. And so what I find with these funky ass ranges like this is that they often are used for liquidity purposes. and it's not to support price in the direction that they're intended to go. So it could be to support sells, it could be to support buys. I don't know, but funky activity. And look what we've had on the left right hand side of our screen. So funky activity here on the left, and then look what's going on the right. Funky activity, right? We're sort of mitigating in and out. Does this look like initiations of higher prices? Not really, right? It looks like a stacking of cores. So could it be that this is actually just handing over maybe? Like, was it a buy primary that's handing over to become a sell primary? We don't know. We don't know how they're going to play it. But anyway, that's what happened. That's what I observed. Then they did this range initiation, break of structure. They came in over the top, took liquidity, broke on itself, broke some major structure. It's an active buy primary. And look how they reacted out of it. Not very much reaction. So this is a little bit like a transitional, which means one thing. Number one, buy primary has failed, which is good for the shorts. And number two, we expect a reaction. Oh, look how much time we've spent in this area. Wonder why. It's because the buy primary failed and it hadn't been mitigated out of them. So they have to mitigate in and out of them. These are the BFI ranges. So that's why I should call them not buy primary and sell primary. It's just bank and financial institution range. It's their range. When they take liquidity, it's sort of they own that range, and it's that range that is being worked through right this second. They're mitigating in and out of it, and we don't know how long and all the rest of it, right? We don't know anything, but we do know what we see, and what we see is a buy primary that failed. Then they came down and they failed this one as well. So I've got a one failure, a second failure, and a third failure, all in one specific area, right? And so I was thinking at that point, the moment we sort of fail, I'm thinking to myself, this is probably likely to come down into this range, right? To either mitigate and continue higher prices, or it's going to want to mitigate through it, because these are low prices, because these are buy primary fails. So when we get a failure, it's a massive check mark on the sells, isn't it? Think about it. Your buy primary failed, and you've made a new sell primary. Yeah, that's weight to the sells, in my opinion. So that's where I am on the buys. Didn't really see any kind of an entry. There was just no entry off of these buy primaries that formed. Nothing came back. Everything. Every time it came back to a range, it just didn't play out to how I was expecting it. Like, here's the last known range, and I'm watching this on a 15-second, 5-second chart, and it just pushes through. I'm thinking, is that a deep mitigation? And if it is, I'm looking at this with interest. And I was saved today by not getting into these sort of silly trades, because I was watching for the transitional. And this is what I was talking about just yesterday, I think it was. Yesterday or the day before. So let's go through this one at least. Here it is. Sorry, I'm zooming way too far out. So this is where I'm looking for a buy, right? This box. I'm looking for a buy, looking for a buy, looking for a buy. And then I see this, and it's a deep mitigation, right? So deep mitigation. And so what am I looking for? Well, first thing I'm looking for is a transitional order block that could have been created in and around, right? And is that one? Not really, is it? Like, as we start to see, we could be one. Hold on, we might actually have to go to a different time frame. No, yeah, different time frame. So let's go like this. Okay, so there's our 5 seconds, and so we can see on the 5 second, it's pretty much like that, isn't it? So there's the transitional. Here's the mitigation point. They initiate and break through it with speed and aggression, which is a really good sign. They come back and they respect it. Okay, so it was a very interesting moment to be in, because I'm thinking to myself, longs, right? Why wouldn't I be thinking long from here? It's a deep mitigation. They've gone through into the transitional. And it's when I sort of start zipping out of my time frames, I start realizing, wait, that's not the transitional. You see on the 5 second how when it mitigated here, it pushed up to mitigate and then pulled down and then pushed through. We're looking for a range that doesn't get any kind of a mitigation whatsoever. If you took this candle here, this little guy here. You can see now, if this was the transitional, boom, they had the mitigation. What happened? Comes up, mitigates, and then pushes through it. So that wasn't really the transitional that I'm looking for, although I did observe it. And so the kind of transitional I'm looking for is this one. Boom, right? Relative to this time frame, 15-second time frame, we've got this transitional order block that has no mitigation whatsoever. And I'm looking at it going, okay, is this tradable? Do I just trade it at this point here? Do I just buy? Do I put a limit like that and like put my stop there or put my stop here and then just trade it like that? No. What transitionals, and in this way, in this particular usage of transitionals, I'm looking to see and use them as knowledge for viewing, not for entry. And so as I see this, right, on this transitional, I'm like, okay, interesting. Do we get breaker structure? Yeah. What about this higher time frame transitional, which ticks more boxes than this one did because this one was mitigated, right? So this one's kind of blitzed through it on a 15-second. And so let's observe how it reacts from this area here. You see how we got the reaction, the push up, no follow through. What am I looking for? Break in structure. Where'd it come? Real close to a break in structure, but it just didn't do anything. So for a moment, it showed unwillingness to want to transact in here, and it was showing us this is a potential long setup, but we couldn't break the structure. We couldn't do anything else. We couldn't move up and create move up higher prices, then create a buy primary or anything like that. We couldn't get to that point. All we could do was show an unwillingness here, which was actually a mitigation, and then this was actually the order block that held price and pushed it down. So it sort of saved my ass, right? That's the word I'm going to use. Saved my butt on getting into the market on this one, because this is kind of an area I'd be interested in. I totally might have pulled the trigger on that one. Suffice it to say, I didn't. I was good. Don't forget a DM. Deep mitigation. We're expecting fierce aggression away, right, in one direction. And so this was good, but I would have liked to have seen just a tap and then a real good continuation, really, to confirm that, hey, that's actually a deep mitigation. We're higher prices bound, and then I will get in later. Okay. So I missed that one, or didn't miss anything. I just didn't get in. Then they create a new buy primary, because how can I ever know that they're creating a buy primary here, right? I've got a connector range, right? I'm looking for it in here. I want to trade out of buy primaries, and so I can never trade this entry in here, because yes, it's a buy primary failure. I understand that, but I have to wait for a closure because of the mitigation. Yeah, I understand this range connects the two together, right? I do understand that. So it's a connecting range, but it's not high probability enough for me to think that I'll be buying here or creating a new buying opportunity because of the failures. We just had 3 fail. And so, yeah, I just have to. It doesn't matter if you do what you do you. That for me, I just want to wait and create something solid that then I can sort of jump in on. So now we're getting into the next one. So anyway, we jump up here, prices issuing up, and you got to keep your eyes open, right? Range initiation, breaker structure. Here's another primary range that gets created. Here's the last known range initiating away. This still hasn't been activated until this point here. And so at that point, I'm looking at this range with intent. And again, I just don't get an opportunity. I just see price just rip through here. And yet I'm watching every single mitigation in here. I'm watching every single one. I'm looking at all of the transitional order blocks. I'm doing all of it, right? Because I'm expecting buys from in here. The moment it fails, I completely stop looking for buys, and I'm looking down here now, right? Because I'm going, okay, where's my next buy primary? Because I'm not interested. I now understand that there's a slipstream, limbo, whatever you want to call it, but there's a gap here that is not tradable for me as far as going long. I'm not interested in it. Buy primaries failed. I'll wait for the next primary. Thank you very much. And it doesn't matter where they create it. We'll figure it out. I'll get in later. So let's read some notes over here, okay? So I've got here a sell primary was newly created. Okay, the buy primary was previously mitigated, which creates cause. Okay, so let's talk about this because this needs explanation. Range, initiation, break structure, all the rest of it, right? So we've got a buy primary, and then as soon as the buy primary had left, before it got activated, activation was at this level here. Before it got activated, they mitigated it, right? Through this range here. They pulled down here and initiated higher prices. And what that did was it mitigated this range, and it stacks money in and around this area. Okay, so when we get up here, as prices get up here and a sell primary forms, yeah, and I'm looking at the cells. Now I'm in a cell. I think I was in a cell up here, right? And so as I'm watching these cells, um, I'm looking at what could potentially happen. Well, I've got a buy primary here, and I do believe that buy primaries are what I want to trade through from. You know, I want to be looking at buys here, but I'm not interested in buys here. And I'm waiting. I'm adding weight to my sell primary working out because this has had the mitigation right here. So that's what I'm saying. A sell primary was newly created. The buy primary here has been previously mitigated, which means it is cause. Cause for what? Cause for a reaction? These little sort of reactions, you know, in and out of here. That's what it was created for. So that was a really, really, really good understanding at this level up here. I mean, this is high level shit. And to get that understanding when price was here, to know that, or not know, but have really good anticipation that we were coming down, was fantastic. And where did I think we were coming down to? Buy primary land. Where did I take my profit? Buy primary land. Now let's move to sales. This is what you've been waiting for, the sells, right? But I have to cover the buys. I have to cover the knowledge of the buys because it's a demonstration of where we're at, where our level is, and how we're doing as traders, right? It shows us everything we need to know about why a primary range is so fucking important and how we can trade them or not trade them, right? As it be on this case, and protect ourselves. So that's why, like this here is more to me is more gold than the 10R on the other screen you're about to see. All right, not pressing a buy button throughout all of this horse shit in here, and it's not horse shit. It's fucking amazingness, is what it is actually. But it's just this is very tricky stuff to understand from price action, and for us to be able to understand it without clicking a buy button and taking a loss or break even or giving away our commissions, I think is pretty damn impressive. And so for that reason, I like the buy side drawings, and that's why it needed to be explained more so than today's sells. But nevertheless, let's talk about our sells. So I took a few trades yesterday. I don't think I covered it all, but again, we're not looking at all this. So we price comes up here, zips up here at 6:48 a.m. Right, 6:48 around there, 6:49 a.m. And I determined that that is a sell primary deep mitigation. We can look to the left to see it. And it's gold. Sell primary mitigation, right there. Let's look for a couple things here. Let's go here, and let's go 15 seconds. Let's go 5 seconds. Okay, here's the mitigation. So, first thing I want to talk about is this, right? Now I've mentioned every single time. Oh, this is too good to be true. I must have seen this earlier, but I've already forgotten about it. But this is way too good to be true. This is the transitional range before the mitigation. The mitigation occurs and they slam price through, breaking structure, all the rest of it, right? So if this high is going to hold, we always like to see a transitional hold. I mean, this is just too good to be true. Look at this. Look at this. Where do they mitigate? What are they mitigating? This isn't rocket science. This is absolute price action. It's what this is. This is beautiful price action playing out. This is a great sell. This is a great sell opportunity. Okay, so we've had our deep mitigation, sell primary deep mitigation, created this transitionary. They did come back to mitigate the transitional, break structure. Funny, I keep talking about structure, right? After my little rant earlier, but this is how I use structure. So do come in, take the range, the transitional range holds, and that's all I'm using the transitional range for in this instance, right? It's just to observe price action and to see if the direction, the high time frame direction, is actually going to play out. That's my intention here. That's my goal. I want to find out what the higher time frame intent is, and that's what I'm understanding from this. So this is, for me, is a carrot on top, right? I don't know how long it will last. We obviously know that this is cause too, but this is a really good looking mitigation, and they come do the transitional. So there's that one. This is just impeccable sort of stuff here to be researching and learn this stuff, for yourselves as well. So look at this one. Here's another range relative to, say, what, the 15-second time frame. So now we're on the 15-second time frame. This just looks like wick. Let's just get rid of that box. But you can clearly see on the 15 seconds that we've got this range in here. This wick represents the range. Let's ray that out. Oh, look, an unwillingness to want to transact in and around this area, this transitional block holds, and they break structure, showing us what? A continuation of short prices. Does that mean this is the high? It does not mean it has to be the high. Like I've been saying, these transitionals are used for liquidity purposes. And if we can see an unwillingness for price to want to transact in and around these areas, then it's a good signal that you're going short. This high didn't have to hold, the transitional block didn't have to hold. And what happens? We get one candle come up, it's all wick, 15-second chart, who cares? You get a doji inside bar. Well, it's not a doji, excuse me, just call it an inside bar. And then we get the initiation away, rocketing through, right? Rocketing through this. So there's our transitional coverage on what's going on, right? So we understand we're initiating away. We've got this sell primary. I'm not even at the screen yet till probably around this area here, somewhere in around here, okay? Sorry about that. It took me way too long to clean up that brush tool. So let's talk about this trade. Like I was saying, this was sell primary, buy primary land today. It was just crazy, really. They kept forming, and it threw me off. This whole stuff here threw me off for a minute. It took me a minute just to draw this. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? Sell primary, deep mitigation. This is the primary range that comes in. It breaks on itself over here and breaks major structure over here, so it's now valid as far as soon as this occurred. And then so we observe what happened inside of this, right? We've got this range, this initiation. We got you can take these as breaks of structure easily, and then this range comes in over the top, breaks on itself, right? But doesn't. And so this is, I guess, is the interesting part, because even though it does not break structure straight away down here, it does eventually, right, over at this point. And at this point here, this is activated. And the same thing at this point here, this is activated. So we've got a sell primary, and I don't think I've ever seen this, honestly. I don't think I've ever been observing primary ranges and have seen this one occur like this. I've never seen two inside primaries inside of one. So here's the primary, the first. We'll call it the first primary, right? And then here's the inside primary that formed inside of it, and here's another inside primary that formed inside of it. Range, initiation, break of structure, right? Dollar signs right here. Boom, comes up, fails on this primary, range, initiation, break of structure. Here's a lovely primary that's fully active in here, but fails. Fails to do what? Fails to create a new primary. Apologies if you can hear my dog in the background. She's just making some doggy type noises, but if you can, cool. She's awesome. All right. So getting into this trade then. So I'm seeing this primary has failed just by a little bit. I can see then that, wow, we could actually be creating a deep mitigation, and we could actually be um, creating a new primary, okay, a new primary range, which again, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's going to be a bit weird to have so many primary ranges, but nonetheless, I got to trade off of what I see happening, right? And I know I've got a primary formed or forming this first one, and I know this second one has actually formed, but has yet to break structure to a point where it activates. And so there's definitely weight, right? There's weight to play on these, right? And so what do I know about primaries, inside primaries, that like this one, for instance, this primary here, what do I know about it when we come over the top of them? They can usually be used as liquidity. So it's like, where are we stopping? Where's price action stopping? Let's go here. Took a sec, but it came in. Okay, so where's price action stopping? Stops right up here. Here's that deep mitigation. What are we looking for? Well, first things first, I want to see my transitionals, right? So here's that transitional that I can see. There's actually two of them, but this was the nicest one because it wasn't mitigated. So I drew this one out here, and on a 5 seconds, we'll see that it was actually mitigated immediately, and there was no sort of push through of it, you know? So, wow, actually, now I look, damn, it's a really good range. Can you see it? Can you see it too? It's this little black bar here, right? So it ranges, initiates up, and then I guess the initiation bar that caused the mitigation, this one here, the blue one here, this sort of pushed up and then pushed down, and I felt like that was mitigating it. Then we had a slam down, right? If that had have just sort of shown me, you know, I didn't have a break, didn't have any body at all, then I would have been much more interested in thinking that that range was, you know, this is the actual transitional. But then as we zip out 15 seconds, you can see it much clearer that this range here, just like what we were talking about over here, is unmitigated. Yeah. So you see how they mitigate the open only, push up, and then boom, slam through it. No mitigation whatsoever. And so I'm using this range as an observation. And I'm saying to myself, well, if we are unwilling, you know, if this is the high, let's say this is the high, we've got this transitional up here, we've got this transitional down here. If this sort of transitional here can sort of hold price, and we're not willing to showing a willingness to break structure, then I want in, right? Why? Because then that will mean that this is the high, right? This will create that high for me. And is this the first trade? Yeah, this is the first trade. Okay. Where's that second trade then? Is it over here? Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry, I know this is a long video. Apologies. My apologies. I'll try and keep them shorter. Transitional range. So I'm interested in getting into the market, right, because of that breaking structure. Not breaking structure, sorry, because it's showing the unwillingness, sorry, to transact in and around this transitional order block. And so it's at that point when I start to sort of observe, well, is this the mitigation, you know, as well? And so we can sort of rinse and repeat, you know. So as I look on the 5 seconds here, I'm like, well, where's the transitional for that one? And I see it here, and I draw it on, right? This little guy here. This is the mitigation. See how price just zips up. This is the last known area that they ranged before anything. And then I get that break. Oh man, what have I done? Just maybe change time frame. That's all. Let's clean up. Is there something here? No. Okay. So as soon as this is taken out, right here, taken out, boom. I'm just waiting to see two things. I want to see this. Okay, bummer. Just got taken out on my sell, my second sell, but I did take 75% off, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. And we'll go through and understand it in just a minute. So 1.8 pip stop. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this range to get taken, to blow through, to show unwillingness to want to be up here, and I'm looking for this range to show unwillingness and not to show, to show literally like we've come up and then we're going to go below it, because I want to be transacting below this transitional range. The moment we get down here, I don't, again, no structure broken, right? Where's the structure? Here? Is that your structural break? No, fuck structure. Structure doesn't matter on these low time frame entries as much. Okay, do your own research on it. Prove me wrong. Who cares? I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm right. I'm right in my analysis. I took a trade and got a really decent reaction. This would have been a 7-hour trade. What happened here is this is a deep mitigation, and I'm expecting a massive pull away. Let's go 15-second chart. And as I see this malarkey, I'm thinking to myself, this is just cause creation. We're not initiating away like a deep mitigation should show us. Now I do know that they have to sort of sometimes build their position before they initiate away, but I've got to protect myself as well. And I was not expecting, once I see this sell primary form, I go break even, because I'm like, there's absolutely no way that primary should hold me, and it's showing a good sign that we're initiating down. And it was at that moment when that sell primary formed, broke on itself. Yes, it needs to break major structure to activate. It didn't matter for me. As soon as I saw a sell primary actually have its formation break on itself, I went break even. And this is the suckiest part of trading. I'm going to show you right now. This hurt just a little bit. I've had it before, but this hurt today. I'm break even at this point here. What happens? Boom. Where do they come? Boom. Right to my entry. Boom. What happens then? Initiates away. Happens. They're not coming for me personally. It's just trading. It's just what happens. It's just living the life of a day trader, right? This can occur. Okay, and so what do? Do I get pissy and angry and mad and upset about it? No, I kept my cool. I chilled for a second. I'm not gonna lie, it pissed me off for a moment, and then I relaxed and I had my music playing, and I'm listening to things that I like, and so it was easy for me to get back into the flow, and so I did. That trade would have worked out. Why was my take profit here? Was it this one? No, that's the second trade. Sorry. It was this one then. Here it is. That's why my take profit's where it was on this trade. Buy primary, initiates, broken structure, all the rest of it. This is an active primary. It's been mitigated to this point only. So what's likely to come back down to that last known range? What happens is it actually gets taken out completely, right? So no big deal. Didn't get in, couldn't get it, but I was looking for a 7R on that trade, right? So anyway, sell primary failed. Blah, 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 blah. We've already talked about this. We've initiated up and we're coming up. We come up to this area right up here. We've got this deep mitigation that's occurred right here at this line here, and I'm thinking to myself, well, they're obviously about to break structure and all the rest of it and go up. This range comes up here, and literally as it's forming, I see what's going on. Okay, because after you take out a primary range like this one, we could be again creating a primary, or we're going to be pushing through for higher prices. It's one of those two things. So we go down onto our 5-second chart. And I think it was this for me. We had that mitigation right here. We've got the, I guess you could say that was a transitional. We've got one transitional here for sure. This is definitely a transitional. But has it had some sort of mitigations, That was kind of the thing I was thinking. Let me try and see if there's another one. I guess that was it. Sorry, guys, it's tricky on the old 5 seconds because the chart just moves a lot. So there's my transitional order block. price initiates up away from it, has its mitigation event, comes back down, sort of has a tiny mitigation, and then flies through it, right? So now we can sort of draw our transitional a little bit differently. And so as soon as, right, as soon as this is formed here and we've pushed through this primary, we then get this new range occur, right? Over here. A new range shows up and initiates away. And I'm thinking to myself, well, where is the where is the mitigation, right? We've had the mitigation here. Are we just initiating aggressively down? And if we are, I'd expect that because this is a very deep mitigation and we've just taken liquidity. So I'd expect us to be looking to break on ourselves, to form that primary range and to come down here. And so as that's occurring, I'm looking at what's going on. They make this range in here, initiate down and away. And the moment, right, they break down here, I enter on something I very, very, very rarely do, but this was a sell stop. I almost never do a stop order. For those who aren't aware of what a stop order is, you should know. You've got no excuse whatsoever, dude. If you're dude or girl, if you're trading, you don't know what sell stop is. Shit. That's all I'm gonna say. Shit. Learn it. Anyway, price is here. I put my sell stop here, and I get taken in, right? I get taken in there. Boom, I'm in. Now, why did I just go and do that right there? Because I'm reverse logicking this. I'm going to myself. This is the primary range, right? That's forming. They've taken the liquidity. They've shown their unwillingness to want to be around anywhere near that transitional, and we've had that speed and aggression away. Now, what does this look like right here? If I just take this off it for a second, what does this look like? This looks like a sell primary range. And where's the last known range? Right here, right? And so what do they typically do? As they are forming these sell primary ranges, yes, they create that last known range, but it's almost never will they come up and take liquidity from it before completing the formation. They do this, but it's not common. I'd say 10% of the time, 10, 20%, maybe even less than 10% would they actually do this formation, right? And so normally, typically then what they are doing is this. And oftentimes I've seen them come and just mitigate out of them as they're forming like this, right? So now there's your buy primary, and what will happen is this is the range that we care about. This is sort of just for cause. And more often than not, they do this kind of event, right? So even though there was this range here, this is the cause creation range, and this is the range that we should be playing off of. Again, sorry if you can hear some dog noises in the back. She's just licking, coughing, all the rest of it. She's having a little cleaning moment. Pretty disgusting, if I'm honest. Anywho. There's a cell in here somewhere. Let's try and get it back. There it is. Okay, so there's my cell stop. Now, why am I taking partials? Why would I ever take partials, right? I always like my 10R. Well, I see this aggression, the speed and aggression moving away, right? As I've got that aggressive move coming away, right, pretty much like when we're here, or just maybe just slightly before it, I can see that we're initiating quite aggressively. And the thing that goes through my mind is, oh shit, quite honestly with you, with that speed and aggression, typically they're creating an event to take your mind off of things. They want you to think that we're just short, right? Because they want to go long, and that's exactly what happened today. Exactly, and I should have been going long, but I was happy with this. I was happy with my trading today. Yeah, I didn't take this, but this was kind of like a win. This trade was a win for me because I picked it. Everything was good. It just didn't get my stop loss break even moved at the correct time. And then this one, I was doing real great, and I took partials at the correct time too. So in my book, I got 2 wins under my belt today. And so I took partials on this one, 75% off, came off right at this level. Why did I choose this level? Maybe I think I talked about it right at the beginning of the video, right? What is it here? Buy primary. Biprimary range. What do we know about biprimary ranges? They're reactive. I didn't know if that was going to react and come up here and need liquidity from up here. I didn't know it was going to react and come up here. I didn't know if it was going to react at all. I just know that a biprimary range is not something I want to be transacting in. And this is a very large one. And given everything that's gone on today on this side of the screen, to have all of these ranges here, all of them failed, right? Multiple failures today. But this one held. And I was thinking to myself, as you start seeing this range, and as you start connecting it together, this one's succeeded, and was successful. This was cause, right? This was formed right at cause, right around an area where this connects, right? So I'm thinking, okay, so we've got a connecting range, higher time frame connecting range, right? That can connect my biprimaries together. But nothing had mitigated this one. And so this comes in and forms. And so it's for that reason I'm going, well, this has got some weight to it. Number one, this could be that kind of, actually, I'm drawing it wrong. This could be from this range here into this range here into this range here. So we are connecting, but we don't have to connect through biprimary to biprimary to biprimary to biprimary. In this instance, we connected from biprimary to a good range, connecting range, and this whole thing here is literally, sorry, excuse me, up to this point, this whole thing here is literally just to connect here. And so this is cause. Entries, that's what that means. Cause, liquidity. They're entering the market. They're inducing buying and selling into the marketplace. And the way they do it is liquidity, right? They're creating their liquidity so that they can have their initiation, whatever direction that will be. And so we figure out today that actually I don't know if these highs are going to hold. Looks like they're not, but who knows? And so our understanding is excellent, and that's the reason we take partials over on this one. So that's my trading day. So take 75% off here, break even. Obviously, at the moment I did that, get snapped out here. It's all good. So we've got this lovely range here, the biprimary range, took out the open. Let's just have one look, and this will conclude the video. And I know this is a long video, and I'm super sorry about that, but let's just have one look at this mitigation here, because this is what we need to do as traders. This is what I'm doing live. Okay, this is what I do live. So immediately the first thing I can see is on this 15-second chart, we've got this transitional order block range right there. What am I looking for? If I believe this is a mitigation, I'm looking for this range to get smashed through. I'm not even going to go to a 5-second. I don't need to. 15 seconds is good enough. Gets smashed through, then it gets mitigated. Boom, boom, boom. Does this range have to hold? Nope. It's a liquidity range. That's what transitionals are. They're meant for liquidity creation purposes, right? And so as this one gets pushed through, all I'm looking to see is an unwillingness to want to trade below this range for very long. And that's exactly what you see here. So the moment you see this, you literally could be just going long, sort of like, you could be going long right there, quite comfortably. Just hit go. Just hit market buy. You don't have to really come up with a fancy entry mode or anything like that. And if you're uncomfortable with that one, push your stop a little bit further out, 3-pip stop, right? And just go for it. I mean, you probably target up here 10 hour. Look, there's a 5 hour, right? Let's see. There's 5 hours, right? If you get breaking structure up above here, but I have a feeling this might go to the moon because of what's going on in the higher time frame, right? Over here, it's exactly what we're doing. And look, you can see we're threatening to break structure. And where are we going to come to? I believe we're coming up to here. So longs are in play. The problem is it doesn't look like longs are in play because we've been taught stupid shit, right? From other people who are educators and not traders, that, oh, if you see this is all cause and they're going to take it. True, but they don't tell you when, right? And so right now we're looking at longs. We're going long. Fuck this shit. Fuck all this cause. Don't worry about the cause. Cause is everywhere. Like, everywhere on every chart ever. Cause is at the highs of these wicks. Cause is everywhere. Liquidity is everywhere. And so as we see this, it does not mean that we got to come take it. That's how I used to think. I used to think, oh look, the liquidity creation event. So look for shorts, look for shorts, look for shorts, look for shorts. Look for longs right now. Look for longs, right? And so it'll be interesting to see if this plays out, if this trade idea would play out. But you can totally see, just based upon a potential mitigation coming from a buy primary, um, seeing this transitional order block, how it responds, how it reacts. This is an obvious entry to me at this point. Now, couple this with some the other stuff that I've been talking about too. Entry modals, I've discussed those. Let's just pull it up on chart. Remember, we go, oh look, a sell primary. In order for the sell primary, it's taken liquidity. That you could say that this was a range here, range initiation, breaker structure. There's a liquidity stacked on top. They come up over the top to take a primary, to form a primary. Sell primary is formed, it's broken on itself, and it wants to form, and it wants to break down here at major swing structure in order for it to activate. Instead, what happens is a buy primary is formed in that same moment, right? And I've talked about this. There's an unwillingness to transact in this slipstream, and if you couple this with everything we just talked about, holy crap, where do you think your entry would be? This is the entry modal I've been talking about, and this is what I would call an initiation modal. Look, 1.5 pips, man. 1.5 pips you could have taken on this. Whether you got tagged on that one, I don't know. I don't know if you got, and I don't know if I would have gotten entered in on this one with my broker, but put it as 2. Who cares? Let's go 2 pips. Enter like that, and then where's that transitional? Let's draw the transitional in. Too good to be true. Too good to be true. This entry right here, right? If we can draw all of this stuff on live in the moment, too good to be true. Easy to enter. Okay. My encouragement to anybody at all is to get good at drawing things on live. Get good at seeing what's going on live. That is my suggestion to everyone. So if you can get good at seeing this happen live and watching this mitigation, and then seeing this entry modal occur, take liquidity from the top, take liquidity from the bottom, showing that still that complete unwillingness to want to enter here, and move away from this entry modal now. Now we've got this slipstream, which is an absolute fucking entry. We use this as entries all the time. And here you go, boom. And where's your 10R? Your 10R is somewhere up here, right? Let's just pull it over to our high time frame. Look where your 10R is going to take you. 10R is going to take us into transitional land just before the range, the last known range, right? Just before it. I'd say that this has got a high probability chance of success. Absolute high probability chance of success of working out. So that's it, you guys. That's it. I've got to stop this video. I know I've gone on way too long. I don't usually like to go this long. I'm gonna try and keep them down to like 20 minutes, like maybe even less, like 15 minutes. I just want to sort of quick, short, educational nuggets. Anything I feel like I can pass on to you guys, I absolutely want to, of value. But I'm just sharing my trading journey and how I'm getting on with this. This is all I'm doing with these videos. They're not selling anything. There's nothing for sale. All right. I make good money from trading, right? I'm not consistently profitable yet. I'm going to reiterate that. I'm not at a point where I'm absolutely living my, the experience I want to live with trading just yet. But I'm absolutely on my way, and I'm absolutely doing really good. So with that said, aloha to anyone watching. Love. Thank you for keep watching my videos. Thank you for commenting, liking, and all of that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best life for you. I hope you're absolutely smashing it, crushing it, and making the absolute insane amount of R. And hopefully you're making 10 Rs and literally like your bank account's exploding. That's what I want for you. All right. Peace out. Catch you on the next one.